Today we're going to show you the rye croutons for our coralline endive salad. The rye breads usually serve for breakfast or lunch. With the bread that they don't use for lunch service, we then take the bread and make rye bread croutons and incorporate it into our endive salad. We're always looking at ways that we can utilize leftover bread in the kitchen. The bread is very moist, so we need to kind of dry it out before we cook it to make it crispy for a crouton. So we're just going to slice it kind of thin, maybe 1 centimeter, and you can kind of see just how dense and moist it is. It's almost sticky. That's not going to be good to kind of just go straight into a pan and cook, so we want to get rid of some of that moisture first. So now the bread's sliced, I'm just going to lay it out on the tray, and then we're just going to dry this out in the oven. Temperature, we probably want to do about 165. It's usually about 2 to 3 hours, and we just kind of do it by feel. It's not an exact science, just when it kind of feels dry enough. So once the bread comes out of the oven, give it a nice kind of rough chop, and then you end up with this, which is essentially almost the finished product. They're very kind of crispy now. You can eat these and they've got a crunch to them. But now we're just going to add a little bit of flavor to them. So we're going to go in a hot pan, and we're going to cook them with 2 types of butter, a normal whole butter and a clarified butter. Okay, so we're going to start by putting the clarified butter in the pan first. Don't want the pan too hot. And we are going to use quite a lot of butter here. Obviously, it will soak some of it up, but we are going to drain the majority of it off. So we just wait till all that butter's melted and it's a nice kind of hot bubbling temperature, and then we're going with the croutons. This clarified butter has had all the milk solids removed from it, so it has a very high burning point. If I was to do this process just with whole butter, it's going to turn to beurre noisette very quickly, and it's going to end up having a bitter taste. So that butter's all melted now. Nice little bubble to it. We can go in with the croutons. You don't want the croutons swimming in the butter, but you also want enough butter for them to evenly cook. And then we're just going to keep this moving until we've got the color that we want. So they're starting to get nice color. They are pretty close to being done. We make a lot of bread, a lot of different types of bread. We never want to serve that bread that's older than 12 hours. So to do that, we need to bake a lot of bread, and we also have some days quite a bit left over. So to utilize that as us as cooks is part of our job and responsibility, not to waste food. All chefs hate waste, so we want to try and do everything we can to not let that happen. So the croutons, beautifully golden brown now, nice and crispy. I'm just going to transfer them to this perforated pan and just try and drain off some of that butter. These croutons, as you can see, they're kind of irregular. Some are larger, some are smaller. And in this pan, it just kind of gets rid of the ones that are really small. If we can kind of grade that out a little bit and just get a more consistent size, that's going to be better for the salad. Now I'm just going to drain them onto a towel. This is where they're going to cool. And just whilst they're still hot, we just want to give them a little season with some molten sea salt. Not too much. It's not for them to taste salty, it's just to kind of enhance the flavor they already have. Give them a little mix. And then we'll leave those to cool, and then they're ready to use in our salad.